Hey, Coach. You guys on Friday afternoon added one more signee to the class, making it 21. What do you guys see in Jonathan Flo, and what's it like for him to get to play with his brother?
Yeah, I know he's explosive, physical, and fast, and it's what he is. Tremendous instincts too. The guy has a tremendous nose for the ball. Made of the right stuff. You know, those guys will make a hell of a wrestling match when those two go at it, right? The brothers. I know what that's like, playing on the same team with your brother. But he was recruited independently of Justin. I just felt that he was just a great player we'd love to have on our team. And, you know, luckily for us, he's part of this class. So, and we're not done with the class yet. So,
James Kirby of the Oregonian.
Mario, obviously, it was a move elsewhere in the region yesterday, and plenty of people drawing the obvious connection to Andy. Have you spoken to him about the opening at Boise State?
You know, I think the best way to put it is I think our guys every year, and I know since we've been here, and I think every year since Oregon's been around, your guys are going to attract attention, you know. And any conversations we have, we always keep that stuff private. We don't put it out there openly, but we handle businesses, we would regularly. And when those things come, you handle them professionally and openly and honestly with your players and transparently with everybody else. So there's nothing to report. If there is, we'd certainly get that to you. But to me, it's always it's flattering for a program to always have other programs come and try to seek and get a piece of what you're doing at your place. So,
Ryan Thorburn, Richard Guard.
Mario, the last day or so, we've had a chance to talk to Henry Cattleman and Adam Snee. Obviously, those guys have taken the road less traveled to Oregon. Can you kind of speak on how you found those guys, how they arrived, and their progress over the last couple of years?
The Cattle Monster? Is that the one you're
Cattle
talking
Monster
about?
and Snee. Yeah.
The Cattle Monster is quite the social media sensation, you know, all buffed up there sitting with the trophies from what I understand. But, yeah, you know, he came out for the walk-on tryouts, you know, a guy that obviously played soccer his whole life. But, you know, certain things catch your eye. Certain things really pop out, and that ball was just kaboom off his foot. Because I remember I had a friend of mine here that coaches at another institution, and he was watching him. Everybody had left. And he said he's hitting 55-yarders with room for another 10 or 15 yards. And I'm like, no, that's not right. And he's like, no, watch this. And sure enough, that was the case. So he's been working hard on his accuracy, and certainly has improved. And we keep that competition open every single week because Cam's done really well also. So really proud of him. And then Tom Snee was first – Bobby Williams was supposed to get on a 22-hour flight, okay? And we couldn't get him on the flight because the flight there and back would supersede the evaluation period time. Like, he'd actually miss the window and, you know, be in violation. So we were able to watch him on one of those, I don't know, like Skypes or whatever. And it looked like, you know, the type of storm you saw in The Wizard of Oz, where there's tornadoes in the background and stuff flying everywhere. And this guy's just putting the ball into the winds, with the winds, rugby-style punting. I mean, he was doing it all, 1-step, 2-step, 3-step. And got great reviews from a lot of people that we know and trust. And so we gave him the opportunity. He took it, and we're extremely thankful and grateful that he's here. You know, because that's a long ways from home now. It's not a, you know, in the car and go right around the corner for that. So, but both guys have done a great job, and certainly last game they proved to be really difference makers in our opinion.
Eric Scopel, 247 Sports.
Last Wednesday we had to ask you questions about coaching rumors. In short order, you got that settled. I just was going to ask your excitement level for what you're building and for getting that contract in writing.
Yeah, well, I guess the biggest part of that is just gratitude. You know, I've always said it since we arrived, our family, since we arrived here in Oregon. It's been an incredible experience. The welcoming part of it, the commitment to the fact that the student athlete is such an important thing here. And we love that. Like we're married to the program. And man, this is where we want to be. We love it. And the fact that there's a commitment, a mutual commitment like that, it just continues what we've set to do. We came here to continue to elevate this this program, all the things that go with it, to just entirely new levels. And we feel that we're on a trajectory that's just gaining more and more momentum all the time. So it was a pretty good week, considering the signing class, of course, being extended like that, the game itself. What else? There's a lot of good stuff last week, and ending with an awesome day, awesome game on Friday. So,
Kevin Wade, 247 Sports.
Hey, Coach, just I know you have a little bit longer to prepare, but any idea of the health and status of guys like CJ, Cam, Daywood, Adrian Jackson, Dante Manning, MJ Cunningham, and
I can't keep up with you, man. You're spending a lot of names right there. No, I wish I had a report today. Obviously always hopeful with CJ. Cam, I don't know. Cam would be doubtful. I think the rest of the guys, for the most part, would be doubtful, except for Dante Manning. He's looked great. He's right there. He's right on the cusp. So we'll see how it goes, especially with young guys that just got here. You just want to make sure that when it's time that they really are ready. But he's looked great. I can't wait for you guys to watch this guy play now. This guy is, we have some really, really great young talent that hasn't had a chance this year. Justin Flo, you kind of caught a little piece of him, and Jackson LeDuc, Dante Manning. I mean, Jalen Jeffers is another guy, But, we'll see. We'll see later in the week to see how these guys are doing.
All right. James Kirby of the Oregonian.
Just following on that, Mario, two guys just in terms of their status was Daywood and MJ. I realized Kevin rattled off a lot of names there, but I wasn't sure if they were necessarily injuries. That's why I asked as a follow if they're in or out for sure for the game, if that's been determined yet.
Unavailable.
Okay.
Kate Roderson, KEZI.
Coach, Christmas time is here. You've gotten your contract. You got your Pac-12 championship. What more could you want from Santa this year?
More practice time, more games for the season, more initial scholarships, a bigger roster number to get more people in. What else? Reschedule some games that we didn't get to play. Season 3, Cobra Kai. That's it. If I get all those things, I've had a good Christmas.
Matt Preem, 247 Sports.
Yeah, Mario, I think it's clear that Shuck has played really well at times this season. How do you get his confidence back ahead of this game to that level we saw the first 3 or 4 games where he was playing like one of the better quarterbacks in the country?
I think you have to just be blunt, honest, truthful, and get the best out of the supporting cast around him, right? Because I think one mistake you can make when helping or evaluating a quarterback is, hey, it's all on you. You still have to protect, right? You still have to run the right routes. You still have to, do a lot of things. And I think he's such a prideful guy, and he works so hard at it that he's going to take that information and use it as fuel, use it as, he can pose to criticism, right? Something that he can use and apply to get better. And I think he has the confidence. I really do. He just has to continue to work his way towards some of the real stuff that he had been doing, because he has some good stuff and other stuff he'd like to have back. And certainly, I mean, we don't pull any punches, but he's a guy that we trust, have a lot of confidence in, and also Anthony went in there and did some really good things as well. So between both of them, we end up winning that game, and we're just very honest, and you prepare those guys to the best of your ability. When we coach at this time of year, especially, I just mentioned about the holidays going on, you lose yourself in coaching. And I'm talking about on purpose. You just dive into coaching. You dive so hard in the film in detail. And we tell our players all the time, you may go another 25 years and not have coaches like this that are so ingrained into betterment, that are so committed to just improvement, that just keep grabbing all those nuggets, man, all those pieces, and keep just pushing and grinding and getting better. And I think that's where he's at. I think that's where Anthony's at. So we think we've had a great week so far, and it's going to get even better.
Back to Kevin Wade.
Coach, since you mentioned initial counters and scholarship spots, how are you guys managing that, knowing going into not only 2021 finishing a best cycle, 2022 planning the roster? Are you guys expecting guys to stay next year that it's granted? How do you guys balance all of that?
There's no such thing as balance. With what the way this thing was brought about by the NCAA and then this the COVID exceptions and all that, I don't think anyone's figured it out. I really don't, and I don't. I mean, we have a tentative plan, but it's difficult, and you just don't know. I mean, what was the portal up to yesterday? Like 1,450 student athletes, you know. And I think today, it's another 90, and I'm sure another 200 will announce on Christmas as a present. I mean, I don't. It's hard. It's really hard to keep track of. This is going to create some things that I don't think the NCAA is prepared. I want to say prepared, but like the answers aren't going to be quite as clear and consistent. So I don't have an answer for that question. I don't. I know that I guess the best way to do it, we're going to continue along the lines of trying to get 20 or 25 student athletes in here every single year, do the very best by every single one of them. And I know, no answer. I'm sorry.
James.
Now that you've had time to watch a little bit more on film, Mario, of Iowa State, one, their defense, they have game records at like every level, but one of their backup defensive tackles is one of those guys in the portal, so you luck out a little bit there, I suppose. But there's quite a few guys at every level of that 3-3-5, and offensively, we hadn't asked you about Breece Hall yet, nation's leading rusher. What do you see in him, and like I say, some of the game records they have on defense?
Iowa State it's the most physical team we've seen on tape, and I'm talking about it since the time I've been here at Oregon. And that 3-3-5, stack approach is something very different and unique to us. We haven't seen it. We haven't played against it. So we feel fortunate we have a couple weeks to prepare for it. And when you talk about game records, you're talking about really physical guys. They're up the field, up front, and they're downhill at linebacker, okay? And their safety, Young, number one. I know he was he had the trajectory, the head-to-head call this past game. He's a ball hawk, and he is downhill in a hurry. These guys work well together. They understand where their help is. They understand how to leverage the ball. So up front, they're explosive. I believe one of their defensive ends is an all-time leading sacker or sack leader in their history. I know another one of their linebackers like the player of the year in the conference. But you didn't have to read that to know it. When you turn on tape, our guys right away knew that is the most physical team we have seen. They're explosive. They're tough. They'll knock you back. And what gets lost in translation, too, they're extremely talented and athletic. And on the offensive side of the ball, they match their defense. They're humongous up front. They've got their multiple personnel groupings as well as their shifts. Their motions create a lot of issues. All right, leading rusher in the country. All right, top back in the country. And no one has slowed them down. I know they've outscored their opponents by almost 140 points in the last 18 quarters of football. Okay, that's how well they are playing. Their quarterback does it with his arm. He does it with his legs. He keeps his eyes down the field when he's flushed out of the pocket. Just a complete player. And they create a lot of issues. And their wide receivers, they run by you, they run through you, they run around you. They're good at double moves. They're excellent blockers. They'll jump in there, stick their face in there, and try to create holes and lanes and try to take out safeties. I mean, they're a very seasoned team. If I'm not mistaken, I think their senior class has the most wins of any senior class that they've had go through there. So they are as impressive. I mean, we're super impressed, and because you could see their culture and the way they play.
Eric Scobel.
Mario, I was going to ask you more about Breece. Is there a player you guys have faced this year or past years that is kind of reminiscent of him? And I know Brandon Dorless said they reminded a little bit of Wisconsin in terms of just that front offensive line. Is that fair too?
I don't want to compare him to anybody because I don't, it's hard to do that. It's the best team that we have faced. And I think that the way that they run the ball, because you're looking at a guy that runs with power, runs with speed, he can hit it and slash right now, and he could patiently wait for things to open up and ride that wall. I mean, they create a wall on both sides of the ball. They create a wall on defense to spill the ball out. to their secondary, their safeties, or outside linebackers, and they do the same thing on offense. You know, when you create those 2, 3, 4, and 5-man surfaces with multiple tight ends or those snug sets, you know, it's hard to find the ball carrier, and it's hard to fit that thing correctly. So just all in all, they do a great job creating explosive plays, and they do a great job limiting explosive plays. So, I mean, I could go on and on because we've taken a really deep dive into it. You know, we've had our first couple of practices on them, and it's very different. We have to work really hard. We have to mentally and physically prepare for a physical football game regarding explosive players that could also run right by you. So our guys are really excited about this challenge.
Got time for one more. Ryan Thorburn.
Mario, just a quick follow-up on Snee. How much does having a background in Australian rules football help a guy, particularly if you're getting hit by Hafunga?
Well, you know, you got the punt off. That was the most important thing. How did that play in? Look, I want to see him make a tackle, all right, because I've watched a lot of Australian rules football, and everybody's tackling people, and I'm still waiting for Tom Snee to go down there and light somebody up. So once that happens, we'll definitely revisit that, and we'll comment on his ability to kind of, you know, go near leg, near shoulder, right? Wrap the legs, kill the engine, run his feet through contact, and get somebody on the ground. Hopefully we won't see that, and our guys are covered well enough where he doesn't have to do that. But if called upon, we want to see Tom Snee, like, be a dude and get a guy on the ground.
Thank you for your time, Coach.
Guys, to everybody, happy holidays. Okay, be safe. Appreciate you. Enjoy your time. If you want, I'll send you, highlights from practice to fulfill yourself, your days and whatnot. If you can't, you don't need a football fix or whatever it may be, but truly appreciate you. I know you guys, all of you guys have been through a very challenging year, and we appreciate you hanging with us and providing, everything you guys do. Okay, so be blessed and thank you.
Thanks, Coach.